It is Sunday at sunrise, and I am J.B. Bryan, the Chief Investment Officer and President of J.B. Bryan Financial Group, the home of AfroEconomics, and we are talking about doing everything decent and in order. I wanted to focus a little bit on a lot of things, but what made me think about today in building and maintaining a peaceful financial life, that is the emphasis of all of this discussion. So, if you call me, if you have any suggestions or something that you meditate on, how you are moved, please don't hesitate to call me now at 1-833-ASK-AFRO. Good morning, everyone. So let's start with, I wanted to share First Chronicles chapter 29, verse 16, verse 11 through 16. Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor. For everything in heaven and earth is yours. Yours, Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted as head over all. Wealth and honor come from you. You are the ruler of all things. In your hands are strength and power to exalt and give strength to all. Now, our God, we give you thanks and praise your glorious name. Yes, but who am I and who are my people that we should be able to give as generously as this? Everything comes from you, and we have given you only what comes from your hand. We are foreigners and strangers in your sight, as were all our ancestors. Our days on earth are like a shadow without hope. Lord, our God, all that this abundance that we have provided for building you a temple for your holy name comes from your hand, and all of it belongs to you. First Chronicles chapter 29, verses 11 through 16. It is Sunday at sunrise. Isn't that beautiful? Everything comes from God. So we're talking about building and maintaining a peaceful financial life. We should just find peace in knowing that everything comes from God, that our success and our wealth is guaranteed as long as we follow God's plan. He gave it to us. And then First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33, for God is not a God of disorder, but of peace, as in all the congregations of the Lord's people. And First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40, but everything should be done in a fitting and orderly way. So when that comes to AfroEconomics, we have our 10 principles of AfroEconomics, but we know that it's about doing everything in order. That's why I structured the 10 principles to give us a sense of order and confidence that these are some things that we can think about. And indeed, on Sunday, we focused on that fifth principle of knowing that God is the basis. Gianyame, check out the fifth principle of AfroEconomics. And so some things that some key points here. I have about 6, and I want you to go on with your powerful day. About 6 points on how to build and maintain that peaceful financial life. If you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to reach out, because as we're flowing, please feel free to call 1-833-ASK-AFRO or chat them if you're in the webinar. Thank you. It looks great. It's so good to see you all up so bright and early. And please don't hesitate to communicate with me. So some key points I have: be at peace, create a budget, avoid debt, be generous, get help. So let's go deeper. Be at peace. Learn to live a life of gratitude with what you have. In Hebrew chapter, the book of Hebrew, chapter 13, verse 5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Be at peace. Create a budget. So here is where I feel that a big part of keeping everything organized, decent, and in order, in building that peaceful financial life, we need to have that plan. So as AfroEconomics members, I always try to start with getting that plan in order. So you have access to one of the best financial planning portals out there. We communicate back and forth. You enter, but it also has a budget section, because I believe that if the more we see things, the more we're in tune with it. A budget allows you to allocate your resources more effectively. And then we're building the financial plan off of that. And then, so we have the financial plan and you say all these glorious goals. How do we reach those goals if we don't budget in that this particular goal has to come out, right? So in Luke chapter 14, verse 28 through 30, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? If you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. Our success glorifies God. God put us here to glorify him. He wants us to be successful. He wants us to follow that plan that he has for us. But he said, do we all have to sit down and estimate the cost of these things that we want to build? This peaceful, comfortable life. Organized. And then avoid debt. We feel that some debt, and it's all of us are guilty of saying that. We feel that some debt will enable us to obtain our goals, because that's the kind of world that we live in, like student loans, mortgages, cars. But in many cases, debt defeats what God wants for us. We have to accept that. In Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 6, for the Lord your God will bless you as he has promised, and you will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. You will rule over many nations, but none will rule over you. I was speaking to a group of young people last Sunday, and I was speaking to them about owning yourself. Owning yourself. Being in tune with what self-ownership is. God did not put us here to be ruled over. For the Lord your God will bless you as he has promised, and you will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. You will rule over many nations, but none will rule over you. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 5, it is better not to make a vow than to make one and not fulfill it. It's not okay to not be able to pay your bills. There's also a word that he who does not take care of his own is worse than an infidel. Definitely, it is not good to not be able to live within your means and take care of your responsibilities. What about be generous? Now we're talking about building and maintaining a peaceful financial life. Those of you who are just logging in, we've gone to be at peace, Hebrew chapter 13, verse 5, creating a budget, having a plan. That definitely Luke chapter 14, verse 28 through 30, avoiding debt, Deuteronomy 15, verse 6, and Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 5. And then be generous. Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits in all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst with new wine. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9. Honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits. Be generous, share it. If you tithe. If you give to an organization that you believe in, or if you have your own nonprofit, do honor the Lord with thy substance. Give back. Be generous. It's not yours anyway. Everything that we have came from him. We started with that, right? Right? Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor, for everything in heaven and earth is yours. Share it. It's not even ours. And finally, get help. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. In Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22, get good counsel, get good help. I hope that AfroEconomics can be a blessing to you, and I really appreciate those members who are up this morning and hanging out in this session. But the bottom line is, get good counsel is a key part. We've been instructed to do that. You deserve it. And that is, hi, we have someone who, hi. Thank you, Ms. Wanda. Good morning. Thank you all so much for hanging out. And I will summarize just a little bit just to share before we shut it down, that we want to make sure that we realize that in maintaining and building a peaceful financial life, that we can find comfort in knowing that our success is guaranteed, that he has given us wealth, and the wealth is guaranteed, that it is there as long as we follow the plan that God has made for us. And know that God is not a God of disorder, but a God of peace, of peace. That's what he wants for us in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33. For God is not a God of disorder. If your money is out of order, you find yourself on the verge of bankruptcy, if you have debts, know that debts are not the life, that is not the life that he wants for us. Materialism is not the life that he wants for us. To have so much debt that you cannot be generous when you've been instructed to give back because it's not yours. Help those. Avoid debt. Avoid, and we'll have a discussion on that one day, but a lot of the, things that pull away from our peaceful financial life is the materialism. And I believe that sometimes we think, well, I did this because, I remember going through a time in my life and living through and growing through a time of having a lot of debt. And it wasn't because I was an entrepreneur. I'm still an entrepreneur and I'm debt free. No, that going through a time of debt, it was because I had developed habits that had brought me off track. I had become a slave to a system that was constantly sending you things, oh, get this loan, oh, do this. I was helping them build their nation while tearing down my own. But and we don't realize that, but because we think, oh, debts are the way to go. Loans, that's what you do in business. Oh, these are the, you're supposed to be stressed out. You're supposed to be worried because that's a part of entrepreneurship, or that's a part of getting older. No, those are the things that are to our demise. He said that we can have a life of abundance, a life of peace. There is no life of abundance when it's filled with stress and strife. And so many families are broken apart over financial challenges. And I remember getting to a point and I said, God, if I didn't have these material items, would I still be me? Would I still have this confidence and commitment to the mission that you've given me? And he said, let's find out. So I started, I'm going to be debt free. I'm going to buy things, not finance things. I'm going to save up. I'm going to develop the discipline. I'm going to walk like I talk. He wants us to be an example. I think that, that my peace and my commitment to you represents more than if I were flashing, expensive cars and things like that. And, and it's just amazing to me that so many things that we think, like, my first motorcycle costs twice as much as my new motorcycle that I bought, here it is, like over 10 years later. And I love the new motorcycle, so much more. The first time I bought a motorcycle, I had a payment plan. This last two motorcycles I bought, I purchased them. That these are, and I have been able to save and be more cost effective and a smarter buyer in each purchase. I don't think that I don't believe that we can really enjoy God's gifts to us when we have to finance them. I think it just takes away the joy. You're doing something, you're having fun or going on a vacation or something, and then you financed it and you got to come back and worry about the credit card bill. It takes away the joy from it. It's better for us to just save up. So many people, unfortunately, families, feel like, oh, well, we deserve this vacation or we deserve to have a good Christmas, not at the hands of becoming a slave to and being owned by others, by a finance company. No, you can create your own peace. You can build on that by enjoying so many things that God has given us. For peace, our peace, our peace really shouldn't even come in, that we always have to get away or, our peace should really come from within. I remember as a kid, and my mom would say, what do you want for Christmas? And I would say, I just want peace. I just want to have a good day, just quiet at home. And she would go, oh, whatever. You'd be so mad if we didn't get you any gifts, but to this day, I still feel that same way. There is nothing like just a peaceful experience. It is priceless to me because I truly believe that, these material items will, do not bring us the peace that we think, the feeling that you're searching for. I remember having very expensive cars and riding by people at the bus stop and looking at them and saying, they definitely look like they're more peace than I am than having a $1,700 car payment. I remember being at a time in life where having $3,000 of car payments, starting the month with $3,000 because of all the vehicles I had. And the more I grew in my relationship with God and getting to know my true value as a person, the more you move, away from that. We should. So I love you all. Have a wonderful week and allow yourself to build a peaceful financial life. And that's not meaning that we will want for anything, because we're not going to want for anything. But we just need to realize we're not going to need for anything, I would say. And after a while, our wants will come in alignment with what we truly know will bring peace for our life. There are people who do have money where they can buy an airplane cash and it will cause them no stress. They will not have to finance it. There are people who can do that and write it off in their business. But there are people who cannot afford to do that. And there are people that need to buy a $5,000 car cash, instead of a $500 a month payment. And then, so that's what AfroEconomics is about. Don't hesitate to contact me. I can help you set up a budget. I can help you create a peaceful life that you can build on. And I pray that that's what you want, because I know that God and I want that for you. May peace surround you all the days of your life. Ms. Tripp, you have a super blessed day. Oh, thank you, Ms. Tripp. I needed to hear that from you. You are truly a blessing. You are truly a blessing. God bless you all. Take care.